Your creative brain is one of your greatest assets. It's also the thing that most likely will kill your music career. And the reason most musicians never catch it is because it doesn't feel like self sabotage. It feels like caring about your work. Think about the last time you went back and changed something you already decided. If it's a track, a post, a strategy, a price you had on something, you told yourself you were refining, you're getting it right, you're just being thorough. But what if that instinct, the one that feels like your greatest creative strength, is the exact thing that keeping your business from moving forward? Because here's what I've noticed after years of doing this. Creative people don't have a discipline problem. They have a closing problem. And until you understand the difference, you'll keep working harder than anyone around you and you wouldn't understand why it's not compounding. So let me show you what it actually looks like and the three things that I do now to stop it. Now, here's what it looks like with music. And I know you know that feeling. You write something, a melody, a groove, and in the moment it feels just right. You nailed it. You're in a flow and you leave the session feeling good. But if you come back the next day and you open your project, different mood, different ears, different you. And suddenly that thing that felt perfect is not really sitting right anymore. So you change the whole thing and you come back a week later and surprise, surprise, that happens again. And here's the question that's actually worth sitting with. Did your music actually get better? Or did you just keep reopening that decision because committing felt like closing a door that you weren't ready to close? And obviously it changes between everything you create. There's a pattern there and it doesn't stay in your music. When I started building my music business in the last year, I worked on the content, the offers, the mentorship program, and I did the exact same thing. Every other week, I would second guess what I had planned and I would change my mind about the strategy. I just kept rebuilding systems. And a lot of times it came because the new idea felt more alive. So the same brain in a new arena with the same damage. Then a lot of time it feels like growth. For creative people, closing and reopening feels like it makes it better. It feels like your creative instincts actually caught something you didn't notice before and now you can change it for the better. And because you've done it a lot of times, and for the majority of the times you're correct, so that instinct served you, you keep doing it. But here's where it breaks down. Music is art, and art doesn't really have a deadline. Art can always be more. There's no wrong answer. There's just the version that you are willing to call a finished music piece. And business is not art. Business is system, it's structures, it's repetitions, it's decisions that are made once and left alone long enough to actually work. When artists apply their artistic operating system to the business side of things, they end up not actually refining what they're trying to refine. They end up just avoiding the discomfort of commitment. And that avoidance has costs that you can't really see in the moment. Now, every decision that you reopen takes energy. And multiple that every week, every month. And instead of having a business that's building, you have a business that's spinning. There's a lot of motion and not a lot of progress. So what do you actually do about it? Here are three things that I started doing that really pushed my art and my business forward without damaging my creative self. The first thing is what I call an idea bank. The problem that the idea bank solves for me is that there's always an output. There's always somewhere for creativity to go. Even when I work on my music business, my creative brain can just not shut up. And that's great. Sometimes you want creativity for your business, especially with content ideation, new concepts to talk about, and some different formats for the content itself. It's not what you want to do all the time, but when it comes, there's somewhere to put it. Anytime a creative idea show up, it goes in the bank because we don't know when it's gonna come. Creativity, inspiration, all of those are out of our control. Because it's such a finite resource, I prioritize inspiration and creativity always. You want to be there to open the door for it to come into your life. That can be on the music side and in the business side. And when it's time to do business or work on content, I have all the ideas that came to me in the shower, on a walk, just right there, ready to go and start recording content. Creativity comes first, and you always have where to funnel it. The second thing is what I call the minimum viable decision. And the concept is simple. You make a decision once, you set a time, and you lock on it. And you don't reopen it until the lock expires. And it's not because that decision is perfect, but because closing the decision is more valuable than improving it midway through. When you keep reopening decisions, you never actually build a track record. You would never know if something worked. To make informative decisions, you need data. Data accumulates over time. And most of the time, when you make decisions on feelings rather than information, is when your business suffers. Most of the time. Whenever you test something in your business, test it for a while. Just let it be. Even if it feels wrong, just let it be. If you consider that you're doing this for the long run, this thing is going to take years, not months. It's nothing but real data for you and future you to build upon. Your creative mind will want to iterate constantly. And iteration is one of the best ways to progress. But real iteration requires a baseline. You can't improve something you keep changing because you can't measure it. Make a decision, lock in, let it run, and only then open it back up and make a decision. The third one is probably the hardest one, and I still find it difficult. But if you nail this one, you're going to progress like crazy because it's the biggest mind shift any creative mind or anyone that's running a business can do for themselves. You need to learn to love boring work. Not tolerate it, not push through it, like actually find something in it that's worth loving. Because the truth is that that boring work, that repetitive thing we always need to do, is what makes everything else possible. It's what keeps the lights on, it's what compounds infinitely. When everyone else is chasing the next idea, the boring work actually provides over time. It's not exciting. You wouldn't feel the rush you feel when you're in flow on Ableton. You wouldn't get that same dopamine hit, but it's that important. And I found this one thing that actually helps me a lot to do so. As I progress in my business, and I do this full time now, I have a lot of gratitude for the boring work, like genuine, specific gratitude that almost only the boring work can give my life. When I actually stop and acknowledge that the boring work has a huge impact of how I ended up here in a life that I really love, you can actually find meaning in that work. Meaning is the best type of fuel. The boring work is tough love, but there's love there. You just need to have a deeper look. It's hard, it's kind of day in, day out, but you gotta love it. So let's bring it all together. You are not sabotaging your music business because you're lazy or undisciplined or not cut for this. You're probably just applying your creative operating system to your music business. Your creativity is genuinely one of your greatest assets, but you need to use it in the right places. Let it live mostly in your music. Let it breathe in your art. Build a container for it, for the business side, the idea bank, so it has a home without hijacking your execution. Then you want to make decisions once, lock in, and let them run long enough so you can learn from them. And the last one is when the boring work comes, and it will every single week, don't look for motivation. Look for gratitude. Just find what it gives you and let that be enough for you to love doing the thing. Those three help a lot with the separation of art and business. If you want to keep working on your music business, YouTube is recommending this video right here. I hope you enjoyed this one. Have a good day.